Hello there and welcome to today's video, which is the third instalment of my wedding cake topper tutorial, and this time we're going to be looking at creating the groom's body, so let's go and get started. So I'm moving on to the groom's body and I'm going to use some old clay first. So I've got a bag of old bits and bobs here. And I'm just going to roll that into a very basic kind of body shape really. I'll add just a couple of drops of liquid FIMO and then just add the body like so. And then try and mould that into the base a little. And my groom needs a neck, so I've got just a kind of long conical shape here, similar to the bride's. And I'll pop some craft wire through like so. I'm giving my groom a white shirt, so with my tiny round fondant cutter here, I'm just going to cut out a very tiny segment basically, just so it fits around his neck a little better. And once I'm happy with the position, I'm just going to use my wet wipe here to really press that down. I'm giving my groom a tie in the same colour as the roses on the bouquet, so I'm just going to cut that into a tie shape and place that on. So now I'm moving on to the grey clay again, so I'm just going to run that through my pasta machine so it's nice and flat. And I'm going to make a waistcoat. So with the blunt edge of my blaze cutting tool here, I'm just creating a line like so. And with the sharp edge, I'm just going to create, well, a waistcoat shape really. So there we go, and I'll just position that onto the body. And again, once I'm happy with the position, I'm just going to use my wet wipe here just to really press it down into the sides. And I'll add on some teeny tiny buttons. And now I can move on to the groom's jacket. So I've got a length of the grey clay here, and I've found it easier to curve the edges like so, just with my blaze cutting tool. And I'll just angle my tool at the top like so. And now I can add this to the topper. And to be honest, it will probably take a few attempts to get it to the right size, but this is basically the kind of size that you're looking for really. And it's just a little awkward to position that, but I'm just taking my time. And once you're happy with the positioning, you can then just start pressing down so that the clay attaches well. So I'm going to make my groom some arms now, so I'm just going to roll out a length of clay like so and just take the tops off at an angle. And again, I'm just making some very basic hand shapes, but you can always go for way more detail if you prefer. So now I can attach my arms, and there's various ways to do this. If you do have enough room between your groom and bride, you could always link the arms, but mine's going to be too tight on this occasion, so I'm going to attach the groom's arm to the back of the bride's, and I'll just attach the other. So now I need to really try and pull that clay together. So I've got my medium-sized ball tool here. So I'm really trying to, just coax that clay together really. So I'll just do it at the front as well. And if you're having a tough time trying to get your clay to come together, you can always add a tiny amount of Sculpey clay softener here to really try and pull that clay together basically. And I'm going to go in with my wet wipe now and really try and coax that like so. So of course my groom needs a collar on his shirt, so basically I've got some tiny segments of white clay here, really to give the suggestion of a collar. And this is how I make the lapel, so it's basically just a length of the grey clay. And I'm just going to take the ends off at an angle. And you may well want to check this a few times on your topper, just so you get the length that you're happy with. So I've got the perfect size for my groom, so now I'm just going to make a couple of cutouts with my scalpel, so it looks a lot more like a lapel basically. So now I can add that, and I just need to be mindful that the cutouts need to be parallel to each other basically. So now I can make a rose for my groom, just in the same way as before really, and I believe this is called a boutonniere. And I'll add a couple of leaves. And I'm going to use a tiny bit of craft wire here, just to ensure that the rose stays in place. And I'll just pop that on. And my groom's body is all done, so now I can move on to bake. So I'm going to bake my topper for the second time, so I'm just using my mugs here again, and I'm using them really to offer just a teeny tiny bit of support. You'll see that the handle here is semi-supporting the bouquet in case it decides to fall a little during baking. And just as a point of interest really, you'll see that the mugs aren't actually touching the dress because I want to avoid any unwanted indentations really. So this is now off to the oven. And at this point you'll need to refer to your own brand of polymer clay's baking instructions. I hope you found that useful, and remember, if you do have any questions, by all means leave those down below or on any of the videos within the whole tutorial, and if I get enough I'll do a Q&A session at some point on those. And when it's ready, part 4 of my wedding cake topper tutorial should be available somewhere up there.